The story of Samson. Our story begins years before Samson was even born. The children of Israel had sinned against God. So God allowed the Philistines to come and take over Israel. But God in his mercy had a plan. There was a man named Manoah, and he and his wife lived in Zorah. One day an angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman and said, Behold, now thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. The angel gave her specific instructions. She was not allowed to drink wine or any strong drink, or touch any unclean thing. He even gave her instructions about her son. He was not allowed to have a razor come upon his head, meaning he couldn't cut his hair. When their son was born, they called him Samson. As Samson grew older and older, the fame of his strength in the Lord became very well known. One day when he was in Timnath, he met a beautiful young lady. So he went to his parents and asked, Please get this lady for me to wife. But she was a Philistine, and the parents didn't understand why would he want to marry a Philistine. But little did they know that God had a plan to use this against the Philistines. And while he was on his way back to Timnath, a lion rose up against him, and he grabbed it and he smote it with his bare hands. But strangely, he did not tell his parents what happened. And after fellowshipping with his fiancée, he returned back and saw the lion and where it laid and the carcass thereof. And he bent over and saw that there was honey inside. So he picked up the honey and ate it, and brought the honey back to his parents and let them eat some too. But he did not tell them where it came from. And later, while he was at his own wedding feast, he saw the Philistines and said, I have a riddle for you. And if you don't have the right answer at the end of the feast of 7 days, then you owe me 30 pieces of garments and 30 sheets. But if you get the right answer of the riddle, I'll give you 30 pieces of garments and 30 sheets. And the soldiers agreed and said, Go ahead, give us the riddle. And so Samson said, Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. Huh? They had no idea what this riddle meant. Night after night, they wondered and wondered, what is the meaning of this riddle? So finally, after 3 days, they went to Samson's wife and asked her, Hey, give us the meaning of the riddle, or we will burn you and your father. And she went to her husband Samson and said, Oh, I know you love me, but you haven't even told me what the riddle means. Samson told her, I've not even told my mother or my father what the riddle means. But after a while, she convinced him to tell her what the riddle meant. Then later, she told the Philistines the answer to the riddle. Samson was furious. He went out to one of the Philistines' camp and destroyed 30 Philistines and took their garments and their sheets and delivered it unto the soldiers from the feast. But things only escalated from there. Because Samson was so angry, he left and went back to his father's house. Then after a while, he decided to go get his wife. And little did he know, his father-in-law gave her away to somebody else. He was mad. Samson went out and caught 300 foxes and took firebrands and turned their tails together and caught them on fire and sent them in the midst of the fields and caught the Philistines' fields on fire. The Philistines demanded to know who did this to them. Sure enough, the people knew exactly who did this. It was Samson. And so Samson went into the city and showed them the strength of the Lord. And Samson smote the Philistines hip and thigh. The Philistines wanted their revenge, so they went to Judah and camped out, waiting to find Samson. When the Israelites in Judah found out why the Philistines were there, they gathered together 3,000 men to go capture Samson. Samson agreed to go with the men of Judah down to the Philistines. When he got down there, he broke free from his ropes and then took a jawbone of a donkey and started slaughtering the Philistines. 1, 2, 3. All the way up to 1,000 Philistines. with the jawbone of a donkey. Samson was exhausted, and God allowed water to come out of the jawbone of the donkey. Samson drank it and got his energy back. Finally, there was some peace in Israel. But not for long. The Philistines got a plan to capture Samson. But Samson found out and left at midnight and took the gate of the city and tore it off the hinges and went and planted it on the top of the hill. Wow, Samson was strong, but only when the Lord was with him. You see, later Samson got a girlfriend, and her name was Delilah. And the Philistines came to Delilah and offered her 1,100 pieces of silver if she could deliver Samson to them powerless. So Delilah goes to Samson. "Oh, Samson, wherein does your strength lie? And what would it take to bind you to afflict you?" And Samson told her, "If you bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then I will be weak and like other men." And so after Samson fell asleep, Delilah goes in and ties him up with 7 green withs, and then wakes him up and says, "The Philistines are here. They're going to get you." He jumped up and broke out of those withs and destroyed those Philistines. That next day, Delilah said, "You lied to me. Wherein does your strength lie? Please tell me the truth." And so he said, "If you bind me fast with new ropes that have never been used, then I'll be weak." And so he fell asleep again, and sure enough, Delilah bound him with a new rope. And the Philistines came, and just like the other time, he broke free and destroyed the Philistines. Delilah comes to him again. "You mocked me and lied to me again." So Samson told her again, "If you take my 7 locks of my hair and you web it with a pin, then I will be weak as other men." So that night she did it again. She bound his hair in a web and put a pin in it, and when the Philistines came in, he jumped up and slaughtered them too. Day after day she pressed him until he finally gave in and told her the vow that he had with the Lord, that from the day he was born, no razor would ever come on his head. But if his hair was to be cut, then the vow would be broken, and the strength of the Lord would be gone. That night, she had his hair cut for the very first time in his life. The vow had been broken, and in the morning, "The Philistines be upon thee!" And he jumped up, and he did not even know that the Lord was not with him anymore. And they captured him, and they put out his eyes, and then put him on the grindstone to work as a slave. Some time had passed, and Samson's hair began to grow back, and the Philistines wanted to celebrate their victory against him, and had him brought to the court, where thousands of people had gathered to party and celebrate their victory. And he had the young man that was guiding him put him beside the main pillars of the building. And he prayed, "God, give me the strength one more time." And he pushed on the pillars, and the walls came down. And according to the Bible, in Samson's death, he slew more Philistines than in his life. Thank you for watching this Bible Brick story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and go watch another one.